Guys, can we get the deer to center stage, please? We're gonna start rolling. All right, everybody good? All right, this is gonna be one take 18 and action. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of One Take, and we got a good one for you, of course. We're gonna be talking about Disclosure Day. It's pretty much all the rave right now, some in a very good way and some in a very bad way. But we're going to give you our opinions on what we thought of the movie. Of course, that means both of us have seen it. I actually saw it very recently. Dave also did too. So we just wanted to come on and tell us what we thought, or tell you what we thought. So, yeah. Dave, if you want to start things off, feel free.
Sure thing. And there's a lot of different places to start. And I would just
There
say,
is. Yeah. Which is why I put it off on you. Yeah.
yeah,
Because I don't know where to start. Yeah.
it's it's funny how polarizing this movie became very quickly.
Mm.
And for me, I feel like oftentimes whenever I see these like wildly polarized movies where some people, you know, really love it, some people really hate it, I always feel
Mm.
like I'm like sort of in the middle. And
Sure.
I guess I'll start by saying I'm sort of in the middle on Disclosure Day.
Fair
I
enough.
I think it's all right. There's a lot of like pretty good stuff. There's also some really really bad stuff here, and
Yeah.
it is most definitely a disappointment, especially
Mm-hmm.
for Steven Spielberg.
Sure.
And I definitely expected a little bit more, but I'll leave it there for now, and then you can give your thoughts. I'll just say it was okay, and then we'll get to my rating later.
Okay. Okay. Um. Well, I guess I can start by saying I don't think it was a total disappointment because going into it after seeing the trailer, I was like, that really just doesn't look that good. It looks okay at best. So, and with that being said, I thought it was bad. I did not like it. There was very, very few points in the movie that I actually enjoyed. Again, majority of it I just was not very happy. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know where else to go with this. It's definitely a very low point of Steven Spielberg's career. Obviously, he's getting up there in age, whether or not that's a factor or um, just creativity loss. Not sure, but I mean, you can't deny that he is one of, if not the best director. Um, this one just missed, of course. So
Yes, and I would agree with the fact that this is definitely a real pretty low point for Spielberg, at least
mm,
from what I've seen of his work, which is quite a bit. And it's a bit of a shame. With that being said, I don't want to have things be complete doom and gloom off the bat. So
sure,
let me get into some positives here. And I think
yeah,
the biggest one that I have to put out there first, I would say, is Emily Blunt, which I don't know how you'd
okay,
feel about
yeah,
this, but I think
mm,
this is one of the performances of the year so far. I think
ooh,
Emily Blunt is
ooh,
really, really strong, despite the fact that the writing is not quite there. We'll get into that
mm,
very much.
yeah,
I still think she makes the most of what she has, and
mm-hmm,
there are several moments that are like felt to me like, okay, I could see this clip being put up at the Oscars for her nomination, when they like show the
really,
clip from the movie. For
that's
sure.
interesting. All right,
The obviously the big moment in the trailers where she does like the clicks, I've heard that
mm,
that's she worked on that herself and completely like it's completely created herself. That being said,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure it sounds to me like it was edited. The sound was edited
slightly,
a little bit to kind
yeah,
of pronounce it a little more, but still, I mean, she still created the sound completely on her own,
mm-hmm,
and that's really cool. But also just the dramatic moments, she's the strongest here. I think the cast overall is pretty good.
okay,
Expanding outwards a little bit, I Coleman Domingos has very quickly become one of my favorites working today.
yep,
I don't think he's that great here, though. His character is
yeah,
a very much a nothing burger, to say the least. But
sure,
again, I think he elevates it because it's Coleman Domingo. Please give
fair,
this guy more leading roles, I beg. I don't want him to just be the guy who shows up in supporting. That being said, he's been great in what everything he's shown up in.
Right.
Um, but more recently, he's just been kind of the supporter in a lot of big movies, which it's still nice to see him, and he's good. But yeah, this movie definitely lets down the actors quite a bit from a writing standpoint. So Josh O'Connor, I think, was
Fair enough.
okay. This is my first time seeing him. Not overly
Mhm.
impressed, but he wasn't given a lot either. And Colin Firth as the villain, not bad, not bad. I don't know. Emily Blunt's definitely the big star here, and that's a good thing because a lot of this movie does rest on her shoulders, and she does really
Right.
great. So
Hmm.
I'll throw that out there. Do you have any positives you'd like to maybe share here?
Um, well, okay. I'll start by saying a positive. How about that?
Yeah, great, great.
Um, so a positive, yeah, and it's also a negative, but I'm going to turn it into a positive. One of the positives for me is the cinematography and some um, camera angles and movements I really liked. For instance, my favorite moment of the movie had nothing to do with the story itself. It was more so just like the way it was shot. It was like right after Emily Blunt gets pulled over and is like getting ready to go on air, and then later on has those ticks. Um, that whole sequence is just like one continuous long take. I thought that was awesome. I really like that. And I mean, I guess I can also flip it and turn it into a negative. So here we go. To me, the cinematography was also a weak point because at times it felt like Steven Spielberg was trying too hard to say, I can still do this. Like there was a lot of certain angles and shots where I was like, why? You're just doing too much. Like you're Steven Spielberg. You have nothing to prove. Why are you trying to do all these like fancy, crazy movements for that really did not that really just didn't add anything to the scene itself. Like there was a scene, I forget what exactly it was, but it like started. It basically flipped. It did like if you were in like a fighter jet, it just like completely flipped over and then landed back onto um like straight. And I was like, wow, that just made my head hurt and it did nothing for the story itself. And I was like, why? Um but yeah, and to kind of talk about what you were talking about before, of which I didn't really think about because personally I think that actually all of the performances really lacked in this movie. I really didn't really none of the performances blew me away, and even at times certain scenes, delivery, you name it, were actually like bad in my opinion. Um, but to what you were saying, obviously, I also agree that the script is really bad, and I didn't think about the fact that like, okay, I mean, obviously, Emily Blunt is like one of the best pros out there right now, and what she was able to do with the script was fine. I am gonna not agree with you and say that I think this is um, contention for performance of the year because like I just never really felt it um, from anybody, even from Emily Blunt, even though she's great and honestly one of my favorites too. Um,
Would you say this was her best performance, at least?
Ever?
Yeah,
No, no,
really, I completely
no.
disagree. What do you think she's better in?
I mean, off the top of my head, A Quiet Place. I've seen clips. I haven't seen it in full, but clips of Mary Poppins. I think she played that character very well. Um, Now I'm forgetting what else she's in, but like I don't know. Because like the dramatic scenes and climactic scenes of which you mentioned and obviously are throughout the movie that she's included in, I was like, ooh, that just it just didn't hit like it was supposed to. It felt very lacking and even flat at times. And I was it felt nothing.
Okay, I would say, I mean, obviously, I'm saying it's one of the performances of the year. I would also say it's her best that I've seen. She's still good in a lot of other stuff. Not to downplay that, but I just think
Sure.
she's really good here. And I'd like to circle back to the cinematography. I agree, really good.
Hmm.
The blocking, really good. And tying that into Spielberg, I think it's interesting that you said that he seemed like he was trying to prove that he could still do it. And
Right.
in my opinion, I didn't feel that he was trying to do that, yet he did it, in my opinion. I
Hmm.
think, and I don't know if other people feel this way, but the shred of hope that I'm holding on to, and we'll again,
Sure.
we're gonna talk more about Steven Spielberg a little bit, but
Hmm.
what I'm holding on to with this is I think that Spielberg proved that he still got it with the cinematography, with the style, with the blocking.
Sure.
I think the camera was very fluid here. I didn't see necessarily like the crazy stuff that you were talking about. I don't remember the one where it flipped. I don't remember the context of that.
Hmm.
But I thought it still looked pretty good. I don't love the color grading style. It's very similar to Minority Report. I really like it in
Right.
Minority Report. It fits that movie. It sort of fits this one, but I don't know. It was kind of dull to me, not
Sure.
not in an overly fitting way. But
Yeah.
I think this shows that he still has it in the director's chair. And I guess I might as well not beat around the bush. The big fear, and this would be my
Mm.
biggest negative, is does Spielberg still know the right stories to tell and the right scripts to take? I don't know if he decided because it's been a little
Sure.
while since his last, well, it's only been a few years, I guess, but maybe he just wants
Hmm.
to keep working or whatever reason it was. I don't know how he looks at this script and is okay with it because
Well, did he write it or what? Did he just direct
he
it?
Steven Spielberg, as far as I know, has hardly ever written any of his scripts. He mostly gets it from other people.
Oh, really?
Um,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
okay, context, because I don't know if you know this. The writer for
Sure.
this is David
Hmm.
Koepp. This is the guy who wrote Jurassic Park, Spider-Man 1 and 2, Sam Raimi's,
Oh.
and I believe there's one other like really popular, really good movie that he wrote. I can't remember what it was.
Sure.
But more recently, and he's been a Spielberg collaborator, I think a couple times. I think the other one is another Spielberg, I think that he's written, and
Hmm.
it's pretty good, but I don't remember what it is. Anyways, like he's written some really good movies, but
Sure.
more recently he has fallen off quite a bit. I can't say that personally fully from experience outside of he's the guy who wrote and directed Cold Storage from earlier this
I
year.
like Cold Storage.
I did
Yeah,
not
I
like
thought that
Cold
was a good
Storage.
movie.
I think Cold
Yeah.
Storage's script was also quite weak. I also think the directing was weak. Whatever. I, the point
Interesting.
is, a
Okay.
lot of people
Different
are
story. Yeah.
saying, yeah, a lot of people are saying that David Kep kind of doesn't have it anymore, which I'm not going to say because I haven't seen enough. I'm not going to make that judgment, but still, this
Sure.
is a previous collaborator of Steven Spielberg who does have a pretty, like, a really good resume, I should say.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's like a loyalty thing there where Spielberg typically will think of the story, but then he'll have somebody else write the
Hmm.
script. And that was definitely the case here, where he had the idea of telling this alien type story, but then he hands it off for David Koepp, a guy who's already worked with,
Hmm.
to write it.
Okay.
So I don't know if there was a feeling like because of their working relationship is good that he just decided to just stick with what he had. But it does make me fear a little bit if Spielberg continues working. Are these the type of scripts he's going to take? Because I'm going to get extreme here, but I think this is one of the worst scripts of the year, maybe of the past couple years. This script, like
Mm.
this, is in my opinion, a really really bad script. I think the
Oh yeah.
story is just
Hmm.
not there. The themes are not fully delivered. The dramatic moments uh, only work because of the actors and because of the directing. And again, I don't want to make it sound like Spielberg's in any sort of trouble because he still shows that he has talent with what
Yeah.
he's doing. But why in
Yeah.
the world would you take this script and be like, yes, like that could be a sign
Sure.
that maybe he's just a little out of touch and he's just gonna go and make whatever script fits the story he wants, and maybe he doesn't see what a good story. I doubt it though. I mean, it's Steven Spielberg, but it's
Sure.
really it blows my mind that he would look at the script and have like the slightest thought of like this script should have been sent back in an instant. I don't.
Sure.
I I just don't get it. I think in any other director's hands, almost any other director's hands, this movie is absolutely terrible. And you would agree, never mind,
Mm,
even with Spielberg at directing, that it's not good. But I
sure.
would disagree with that. But I think Spielberg elevates it. I think the actors elevate it. Literally
Sure.
everything else elevates it enough to that I would still give it a positive review. And
Interesting.
it's very slightly positive. I'll just say 6 out of 10 right now after one watch. 6 out of
Mm,
10. It's all right. I I got through it and
sure.
I didn't feel bad about going to see it. I was like, it was all right. That's literally my
Hmm.
reaction. So,
Yeah.
6 out of 10. The script
Hmm.
I'd give like a 2.5 or like a 3.
Wow.
It's it's
Interesting.
it's I'm gonna be nice and just say it's not great. It's
Okay.
not great.
Um, yeah, I mean, a lot was said there, but one thing that I kept in the back of my mind is, um, well, part of being a good director, and especially Steven Spielberg, even if you have a uh, lacking script, I feel like somebody like Steven Spielberg would be able to, um, transform that into something like at least decent. Obviously, it did for you, but for me, it didn't. Um, so you kind of have to wonder if, because like as he's directed, he's like seeing how um, the actors are performing in certain shots and scenes and the script itself. So you would think that he would take it upon himself to be like, "Oh, that was bad. Do it again," or like, "Oh, this is bad. Let's rewrite it or whatever." So you kind of also have to wonder, like, did uh, in a way did Spielberg just kind of like almost not care in a way about this? Like he kind of just like accepted, like, okay, maybe he was like he knew going in like this script is bad. I'm gonna do what I can and also make it bad, in my opinion. But also,
He went in wanting
like
to make it a bad movie.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, like a name like Steven Spielberg, you expect it to be good, and then when you're um, get hit in the face with something like this, it's obviously disappointing and at times worrying. Um, but yeah, I mean, if we're going with the rating right now, I am currently sitting at like a three, 3.5.
Wow.
Now here's the thing.
I was ready for I
Here's
was
the
bracing for it. I was bracing.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I know I've been thinking about this. Well, you and whoever has been watching, I'm not a big fan of also Project Hail Mary. And I've been thinking, like, okay, these two are very close. Which one would I rather watch? And I'm thinking I'd rather watch Project Hail Mary. And if you've seen our um, review on Project Hail Mary, you would know that, like, it takes something um, pretty bad for me to watch Project Hail Mary over. Um, neither really did anything for me, but at least I know what I'm getting into with both. So, yeah,
Yeah. Um yeah, so I guess I'd like to dive a little deeper into the story just overall. I think I've
sure,
ragged on the script enough, but at
yeah,
least like talking about specifically what moments really were better, were worse, whatever.
hmm,
I personally think, and this is gonna peek into spoilers a little bit. So
yeah,
at this point, we've given our ratings, we've given our general thoughts. So I think we're comfortable to go into spoilers a little bit.
hmm,
So there were some moments that, and I want to ask you about the effects because the effects have been talked about quite a
okay,
bit, and it's an interesting conversation. I think there's moments where they've shined quite a bit. I think the aliens look good overall.
yeah,
And on the other side, the aliens look good, and the effects with like the magic device they have, which is just so ridiculous. I can't believe I haven't even mentioned that yet. That device is so stupid. It can
I
literally
hate that
do
thing.
anything, but it's not
Mm,
explained.
yeah,
It,
yeah,
it
exactly.
it's a magical do anything device, and it's
Hmm.
just referred to as the device.
Yeah,
And I believe, if I remember correctly, it was manufactured, I think, by humans, by like the government, by this government agency, which is just an absolute nothing made up agency that's super incompetent at chasing down these people. It's basically
Yeah.
like a spy thriller sort of thing throughout the movie, where they're just, it's less about
No
the
way.
aliens,
Yeah.
it's just about revealing the aliens at the very end.
Mm,
But this government agency is so terrible at tracking them down and chasing them. And apparently, I think, if I remember correctly, I could be completely wrong, but I want to say they designed the device based on like their knowledge of aliens. So you're telling
sure.
me that these humans were able to design this alien design device that's like the size of literally just my fist, and
Hmm.
it can control people's minds, it can control electronics,
Yep.
and it could turn people like invisible. That's the three main things that it does. How in the
Hmm.
hell did humans figure out how to do this? Just based on alien technology. Not they didn't steal the
Yeah.
technology, they also copied it, I want to say, and
Yeah.
manufactured
Every
new ones. How is that
everything
possible? And
about it.
why does the device do all these random things? What is it
I
not
know.
capable of? Like it doesn't
It's
explain
just
it.
too. It's
It
too convenient.
it's just a plot device. It is like so,
Yeah.
and that's why I found it kind of ironic that it's
Yeah.
just referred to as the device because it's just
Hmm.
so ambiguous and random that that's all they called it. They didn't even give it like some goofy, science
Right.
sciency name. It was just the device. That's what they referred to
Mm,
it to. And it's just so random. The
mm,
characters can get out of so many situations so easily again because this government is just like so incompetent.
sure.
And then probably the biggest point going circling back to the effects. I'm kind of all over the place here, so sorry. But there's this one moment with the train and it looks
Right. Okay. Yeah.
horrible. It looks so bad. And
From the
it's
outside or like when they're inside it?
outside, totally outside. It makes no sense. It's not
Mm,
realistic, which I'm not even nitpicking that much about the non-realism. Whatever. At this point, I had already realized that the
sure.
movie was like okay. And then I was along
Sure.
for the ride, which it did pick back up in the last like few
Yeah.
minutes or whatever. But
Yeah.
the effects there were really bad. And then there was some stuff. What did you think about like the animals and that whole sequence? You know when
Yeah. Like the actual like the fox and the
yes,
whatever a
yes,
deer or something. I think
yes.
it looked really bad. It was very clearly CGI. There's been past movies where um they've used CGI and made the animals actually look more real than what we got in Disclosure Day. I was like, okay, I know those are obviously real, but it could just be like a vision of them imagining it too, you know?
Hmm.
Which, I mean, technically it really was. um, I'm pretty sure that the aliens were disguising themselves as these animals to make them less frightening in a way. So, I mean, that I can kind of go easy on them for. But, like, even still, at least try a little bit harder, you know?
Yeah, and I would actually agree with well what you just said before. I
Hmm.
think because a lot of people were talking about it for Spielberg, especially a guy who's
Hmm.
really pushed effects forward and always has like really strong effects in a lot of his movies. A lot of people are
Right.
are really hating on especially the animals moment, but I agree. I in my head I feel like with Spielberg's knowledge, like there's no way he would let that fly unless I feel I
Sure.
think it was intentional because I
Yeah, in a
think
way.
if
Yeah.
like you said, if the aliens show up and they're just aliens and they show up to these kids because it they
Mm,
show up to Emily Blunt's character and Josh O'Connor's character
yeah.
presumably when they're kids and we see that they're
Mm,
young children. So if they show up as
yeah.
aliens, the kid's gonna freak out. And if they
Yeah.
show up as totally realistic animals, the kid's gonna freak out because one of them's a deer in her
Sure.
room.
In a
So,
room. Yeah.
I mean, would they also be freaked out by like some in between uncanny thing? I mean, maybe, but I think it slightly makes more sense to me for it to be this in between where it's like, okay, they're friendly creatures, but they're almost like
Mm,
cartoonishly kind of looking.
sure.
They're
Yeah.
intentionally not realistic because they're trying
Hmm.
not to scare the kids and they're trying to, you know, show the kids something. And so that is a place of criticism for a lot of people, but I personally I feel like it had to be intentional. for Steven Spielberg. And
I
so,
mean, hopefully it was. Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
that being said, I wouldn't call it a positive. Like I wouldn't celebrate the fact that the effects are kind of wonky, but
sure.
yeah, I that was something I wanted to touch on because I've been hearing that a lot where people are like, "Oh, the animals
Hmm.
look so bad. Like how like that this is embarrassing, whatever." I don't know.
I mean,
So,
I didn't really think about it too much. I was like, oh, those animals look kind of bad, but I didn't really care enough to really care. Um, and then after like somewhat thinking about it for like a couple seconds, no more, I was like, okay, those are just the aliens. That's fine. I don't really care. Um, Kind of really did nothing for the story itself. But
mm,
I guess I'll ask. I think before you were bringing up like the flow of the movie. So this is a basically 2.5 hour movie. Did it feel like a 2.5 hour movie to you?
absolutely. This movie is too long for what it is.
It didn't feel like 4 hours.
Oh no, no, it
Oh,
felt like 2.5. It felt longer for you.
okay. Oh yeah, it felt like
Would you have left?
more than
Would you? I mean, I already think I know the answer, but would you have left if you
I would have.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
didn't go alone.
no,
So if you
yeah.
were alone, you would have
If I
left.
was by myself, I
That's
would have
crazy.
left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. No, I think it felt like 2.5 for me. I think the
Mm,
flow is not terrible, but that being said, it shouldn't have been a 2.5 hour movie for the story they told. And I
yeah.
was actually gonna just lead
Yeah.
into that. Just the overall story as a whole is just weird to me, and I just like
Yeah.
typically with alien movies, or at least like if you're gonna make the whole movie about like just the discovery of the aliens, I feel like you would
Hmm.
play more into the backstory or something. And like it
Hmm.
feels like that was kind of just all shoved in super late,
Oh
and the
yeah.
rest of it was just this like thriller kind of chase thing that was just not interesting.
Right.
And like I'll use E.T. as an example because of Steven Spielberg. Like
Hmm.
aliens being a thing is just the setup of the movie. And then
Right.
and like to me that's a lot of what sci-fi is supposed to be about is like okay, these
Hmm.
fantastical, sort of realistic, sort of not things, that's just your setup. And then you tell some sort of humanistic story around that. And I think it was
Yeah.
interesting to tell the story of just like the disclosure of this information, but just the way it's executed, it takes way
Yeah.
too long to get there. And then it ends on
Oh
such
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
what happens now,
Hmm.
like a weird end point where it doesn't
Right.
feel like it really said a whole like it seemed like it was trying to say something and it sort
Mm.
of got there but sort of didn't. So I don't know how you feel about the
Hmm.
overarching, the idea of
Um.
oh let's because I thought that the like Emily Blunt sharing that aliens were real and everything, I thought that was gonna be like the halfway mark of the movie or like maybe
Mm.
the start of
I
the
did
third
too.
act.
Yeah.
But turns
Maybe
out,
it's like the
spoiler,
final 5 minutes.
the final
Yeah.
5 minutes
Yeah.
just really bizarre. And I just,
Hmm.
especially with how much alien movies have been done at this point, what made Spielberg so interested in this idea outside of there? I mean, there is a lot of stuff about, again, talking about like the government, not sharing these sort of things and whatever. That is
Sure.
interesting,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's just a weird choice.
Yeah. I mean, the plot for me was very scattered. I guess is the right way to say it. It didn't really feel like there was necessarily a clear cut path of what they were trying to go for. Because, like, you had a lot of different plot points, like one where I don't know her actual name, but the girlfriend, she was like a former nun, apparently. Like, that was random,
Yep.
felt unnecessary because they didn't really build off any of it. Um, Emily Blunt being obviously a weather girl and having like a boyfriend, and they didn't really, not that they needed to, but it just felt like they brought up a possible plot point and didn't really dive into it. And also the main guy, um it started like as if it was in the middle of everything happening to the point where we didn't see any kind of build up to like what the like the action or the suspense or the drama of everything. And then by the time we actually um, get to figuring things out and slightly learning things, they did a really crappy job with that too. Um, by the time that actually happens, I mean, obviously I did, and I know a lot of people did, just like lost interest to the point where I was like, oh, that's it. Like so anticlimactic that um, you walk out like disappointed. Cause well, I so in the end, obviously spoilers, like I actually thought that um Emily Blunt and the guy were siblings, but obviously they weren't, but it felt like that for some reason. Um, so we learned that they were, I guess, chosen is the right way to say it by these aliens as kids and given these like super out of pocket powers that like nobody can defeat, which is also stupid. Um, to like, I guess, deliver their message of being abused by the U.S. government and all that stuff. Um, sure, that's fine. But again, the time and build up to get to that point took so insanely long that when that's revealed, I'm like, ah, okay, that stinks for you, but like, what are you gonna do? Um, but yeah, just a very anticlimactic plot line. Um, felt like um, all the moments where it was supposed to be like climactic or um, very hard hitting, it just like stalled, and I felt nothing, even though you're supposed to feel something. I was like, oh, I just don't like whether it was the delivery of whoever the actor was at that point, or if I was just burnt out from um, waiting to see the reveal, and it took like 10 days to get there. Just a lot of factors that added into the plot being so overly stretched out and expanded.
Yeah, yeah, good points. I and adding on to the impact, there's something that I have to mention that maybe is like small and nobody would agree with, but
Mm,
this is just something that really dragged things down for me too, because they just didn't impact me the way it felt like the movie wanted it to. And that was
hmm
all of the clips of the aliens. And I don't know how you feel about this, but
hmm
every time that Josh O'Connor or when the news anchor, who by the way has an amazing performance as well, shout out to her. I
Yep.
think I forget her name.
She's a former actual anchor,
Oh
so
really?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's really good. But the thing is, when they and then like when Josh O'Connor shows his girlfriend and she has like this big reaction, the thing that
Mm,
really annoyed me was a lot of those clips weren't even that crazy. Like one of the
nah.
clips is like an alien crash site
hmm
and it like zooms in on this alien who's kind of just sitting like on like this piece
Right.
of debris and it's just like bent over like this and just
hmm
doing and just nothing's happening. There's like people, there's like government people
Yeah.
walking around him, and like the news
hmm
anchor just like is like, oh my god, I can't,
Right.
I, I, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And it's like
I know. Yeah.
I just think because in the year 2026, there's been
hmm
so much crazy stuff on the internet, like absolutely like heinous, disgusting things that
Uh,
like you could find on the internet. Like
mm,
and in this movie they treat like aliens just being on screen like it's some horrifying thing, like they're being like
right.
mistreated when we don't even really see it. There is one time where it's like the aliens like tied down to like a table and it looks like they're gonna like experiment on like, okay, that was fair. But
Oh yeah, and actually,
a lot of the other ones is just like aliens existing and like people are like crying as if like they were just watching
sure.
a slaughter. Like it's like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I guess because it's a PG-13 movie. I think it is.
Oh, is it?
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Um,
But
no, but even
I don't know.
still, a lot of PG-13 movies go for it. Like actually in that scene that you were just said, when we actually see some abuse going on, before we can actually see like any bad things actually happening to them, obviously we hear it. They cut away to
Yeah,
like
that too. Yeah,
so
they
they
just cut
don't
away.
show like what's actually happening to show that bad things are actually happening. Again, obviously you can hear it, but people in order to feel some kind of reaction to it and emotion, I feel like it would be important to actually show it, even if it's like gruesome or bad.
I mean, just to some extent. However they wanted to do it, it's just the way that they decided to do it.
Hmm.
It didn't make me feel as sympathetic as the characters were trying to make it seem like
Nah.
it wasn't
Nah.
that emotional. It should have been, but it wasn't. And this is
Hmm.
from a filmmaker who's given us films like E.T. and given us
Yeah.
films like Minority Report and
Mm.
Schindler's List. I almost just left out
Right.
Jurassic Park, where like some of the biggest emotions you could feel are in some of his past movies, and they
Right.
just fall flat here. So
Hmm.
I don't know what he was thinking. Like we've seen so many movies that have done like such extreme imagery and things like that. So maybe
Right.
that's our fault for consuming, so much more
Hmm.
extreme things than this. But I'm not asking for some R or X rated like insane stuff, but like it's literally like it
Mm.
felt like nothing. It felt like nothing a lot of the time. So
It did.
it was just weird.
Now, well, but I will say before I watched it, I saw a clip of Steven Spielberg um, saying that this will really make people question like religion and God and all that stuff. So I kept throughout the movie, I was looking for that, and they kept simply bringing up bits and pieces relating to that aspect. Um, but what I would say with the climax of that plot point was I forget who it was. It was it was what it's a very forgettable movie. My apologies. But one of the characters um was like, "Oh, we can't." I think it was the girl, the girlfriend. One of the characters is like, "Oh, we can't put this out to the world because um like believers and people who are all about religion like won't be able to handle this because um like she automatically thinks that like because people um would uh, be uh, like was shown aliens like they're automatically like higher beings. But that I didn't really like that like immediate thought because like to me if I saw that I'm like I mean to me they're just aliens. Like who's to say like they're better than us or higher than us? I mean for all we know they could be very much below us, which in the movie I think they were portrayed as I guess weaker in a way. Obviously, we took um, their technology, but we never really saw um, the aliens' capability or if they were even um, a threat in general. You know, it was more so just the people trying to hide it.
Mm. Yeah, I totally agree there. I didn't know he said that about questioning religion and everything. And yeah, that's a pretty crazy thing to say considering for the most part it's kind of just like it's barely touched on, I feel like. Yeah,
Not really.
there was a couple lines where it's like, "Oh, how can we believe if this is real? Like how can we believe in God if the alien thing is real?" And that does seem
Right.
totally unrelated to me. But I guess
Yeah.
with the
It
higher
felt like it was
beings
just
thing, that
thrown
kind of
in
makes sense.
there.
But yeah, it feels thrown in, and I think that goes into the fact, like you said before, a lot of these characters just aren't fully realized, and that's a bit of a shame. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say for Disclosure Day. Again, 6 out of 10 for me. I still think it was an okay experience. I think the momentum was good, and Emily Blunt really carries the movie a lot. And Spielberg, I think Spielberg as a director
So, hmm.
does a lot of really good work still.
Hmm.
Still not at the tier that we expect out of him, but definitely
Right.
elevating a script that really lets the whole
Mhm.
project down. So
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I'm trying to think of who I would think is the best performance in that. Um, I mean, it would probably be either Emily Blunt or what's his name, Colin Firth, or the British guy, the
the news
villain.
anchor. What about the news anchor?
No, the news anchor. I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, she was really good, and honestly, you could argue that she was probably the best performance. But you also have to keep in mind that she is a former news anchor, so it's kind of like already built into her to kind of nail that role.
Really?
Um,
I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
I think it's still quite a bit different to act it out, and especially with the emotions that she was getting across. I've never seen a news anchor do that, but um,
fair. Yeah, I mean, it. And I mean, obviously, in reality, she probably was the best performance, even though it was such a small performance. But if we're sticking with um, like the core, the main, obviously, big cast and all that stuff. I mean, again, nobody really blew me away, but it was probably either Emily Blunt, like you said, or um, Colin. I forget his last name, the British
Hmm.
villain. Um, but yeah, um, am I glad I saw it? Sure, but I would not if somebody on the street asked me to go see it, I'd say no. So
I
yeah,
agree. I would also say no.
fair enough. Yeah,
Six out of 10 Spielberg is not worth it.
no.
All right. Anything else before we close things out?
So I guess another thing I want to ask really quick. Um, obviously, people are debating this. Some people, at least, should is this a sign that Steven Spielberg should retire? Like, should he retire immediately after making Disclosure Day?
Well, first thing to say, man, what a shame that we're asking this question. Um,
It is. It is. Yeah.
and I will be honest, as much as I say it's a shame, I won't lie. I did think of this after watching the movie. So,
Mm,
um, I will go with what might be considered a cop out answer, but I'll give a more definitive one after. But what I'm going to say is if these are the sort of scripts that he's going to take, it's time to pack it
mm.
up.
That's fair.
That
That's
being
fair.
said, if this is just a one off and he just really wanted to tell the story and he was okay with the script he had and he knew, which in my head,
Mm,
I'm hoping and I think that he knew that the script wasn't incredible or even great. I think he knows better. I hope he knows better still.
mm,
If he's gonna keep doing scripts like this, no, he should be done. End on this. Some people are still, supporting Disclosure Day. Um, I think that's good enough to end on. I don't want to see more movies like this. That being said, for my more definitive answer, yes, I think he should. I don't think he should retire. I think he should keep going because I believe that he knows what a good story is still. Of course,
mhm.
it's Steven Spielberg. Of course, he must know. So
Sure.
I'm going to be optimistic here. And
Okay.
I'm going to say I think Spielberg still got it. I think he still proved it both in the movie itself, and I think he still has it with what we don't know about the story, sort of thing. And I think he should keep going. I think he still totally has it. It's just that he needs to just maybe make sure he goes back to a script that actually is ready to be told.
Sure. Uh, just really quickly before I give my thoughts, one thing that you keep mentioning is that you think um, Spielberg might have known, like, oh, this is a bad script. So, with that in mind, if he's freely, knowingly taking bad scripts, it almost seems like he just doesn't care anymore. Um, so, with that being
Maybe.
said, I mean, I know, and that's just very sad to even think about and have the thought of.
But I'd
Um,
I'd rather I'd rather that than to him have thought that this script was amazing. Because if he thought this script was even decent, he should retire. I'm sorry. Respectfully.
that's fair.
Respect to one of the
Yeah.
literal greatest to ever do it. Do not get me wrong.
Mm,
He's
yeah,
fantastic, and I think he still
he
is
is.
fantastic. I don't think this is the case, but if he thought that this was a decent script, let's
Mhm.
I think we need to back it up.
I mean, yeah, that's a fair point. But I'm a big proponent of you have to end on a high note, or at least a somewhat decent note. And this is not a note you should leave off on. So, with that being said, I think he should continue and, like you said, be more um, aware in particular about what he decides to take up. And hopefully, within the next year, 2, 3, 4 years, we get another Spielberg movie of which actually delivers. And if it does, sure. If you want to say, "Hey, I'm done," I'll be happy with that. But if he came out like 2 minutes from now or tomorrow saying, Oh yeah, I'm happy with Disclosure Day. I think that was my triumph. I'm gonna retire. I would be very disappointed, and honestly, in him in a way too. But just yeah, don't end on a low note. I think he should continue.
Yes, great. Take our advice, Mr. Spielberg. Random,
Yes, and please hire us. Yeah.
random dudes on the internet
Oh yeah.
that he will never know.
Let us know what you guys thought. I'm very curious because this is a movie that seems to be either a hit or miss for a lot of people. So it was obviously a miss for me. It was kind of in the middle for Dave. So let us know what you guys thought.
All right. So that'll be all for today. Thank you guys once again for joining us for one take, and see you guys next week.